Okay, this is a tutorial demonstrating how to submit an assignment to Brightspace, Flickr, and Wix. So you'll follow this process every time you need an assignment to submit. So we're going to be looking at the levitation project as an example, and as a reminder, within this it tells you all the things you need to do. So from Flickr to your Wix entry to the Brightspace submission. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with Flickr. So I'm going to jump over to Flickr. I need to upload my images, so I'm going to click on the icon. Okay, the upload. So first of all, obviously log into Flickr. I'm going to click on the upload icon, and I've already prepared an album. So my album is here. It's called Test Album and has a number of images. I'm going to I think you can drag them on here like this. Yes. Okay, and it'll start uploading. Okay, those are going to go. Once those are ready to go, if you want to rename them, you can do that here, and then click on upload photos. That takes a minute to go. Okay, once those are uploaded, you are going to organize them. They get put in what's called your photo stream. Okay, your photo stream is basically a list of every photo that you've uploaded to Flickr, organized by date. Okay, so that's done. There's my images, okay, and I'm going to now add them to albums. So I need to organize them. Photo stream, as you can see, is just a big long scrolling list of every photo that I've added to my Flickr account. So I'm going to go back up here. We need to put them into albums because that's how we stay organized. So I'm going to click on albums, and you'll see I've got a number of albums here. Okay, I'm going to create a new album. Now for your first album, it might look a little different, but once you have an album created, you can click here on new album. If you don't see this option, or there's nowhere on your screen that says add a new album, you can do this by going to your camera roll and then selecting an image, okay, and adding it. So if I wanted to take this, select all of them, and then add them to an album, you can do that here. Or alternatively, I'm going to go back to my albums. Once you've created an album, you can go new album. Okay, I'm going to title this trees and ice. And I'm going to now click and drag the items I want into this album. I can also click the first one, hold shift, and click the last one that I want and drag all of them in at once, and it'll drag them all in. Two of them were already there, but it just dragged all of these in. Okay, if I want to put in a description saying that this is trees and ice album with pictures of trees and ice, that's fine. Okay, save. That's going to make that into an album. And now when I go back to my Flickr account and I go to my albums, it's going to show me all of my albums, and there's trees and ice. So that's the first step. Now you're going to do 2 albums for every project because you're going to have a submission, right, which is your final work, and you're also going to have a body of work. Okay, your body of work will have, say, 20 or 40 or whatever it is that is required by the assignment. Okay, and that's here. It tells you here make 2 albums. Okay, you're going to follow that exact process for the 2 of them. Levitation, we're doing a levitation body of work and levitation submission. Name them as they're named here. Okay, and it tells you exactly your requirements. That's the first part of this process, and it's just creating those albums to stay organized. Then you need to put them in the group Flickr discussion, because this is how we share our work with our class, so that we can, because later we'll be doing image reviews and image critiques and gallery critiques, so we need to be able to see each other's work. So I'm going to back over to Flickr here. I'm going to click on group. Okay, you're going to find your group. I think you should probably only have one. That's ours right there. And I'm going to go to the discussions by clicking on discussions. There they are. So I haven't got one here. I'm going to add this to the balloon project. Okay. So, or actually I'll do it to levitation. So let's say that this is my levitation project. Okay. Someone's already submitted. Awesome. And I'm going to take the album and paste it into this discussion. So let me go back to my albums. Albums. There are 2 ways to get this link. One is by going here and clicking on share this album, and I'm going to copy this, copy. Or if you're already in your album like this, the same link exists right here. Select and copy that. Okay, back over to my discussions, groups, our group, discussions, and I'm going to go to the submission here. All right, now I want to paste this in, but notice what I'm going to ask you to do is always put square brackets around the link like that. And the reason is, and I don't know why it does this, but if I just do this, just the link, you'll notice that it doesn't give me this little image. It just gives me the link, which is fine. It doesn't make a huge difference, but it just looks a little more organized when we're trying to, because we're visual and this is a photography class, it looks a little bit neater if we do it like this, because then when we preview it, we get this little graphic. Which will make it easier when you're looking for someone's work to find it later, rather than going and reading a bunch of Flickr /s/ whatever this random number of things is. Okay, so that looks good like that. I'm going to post my reply, and there, that now shows up here. This is now submitted to Flickr. You're going to do this as either your levitation or your levitation submission or your body of work each time. Just make sure you're putting the right one in the right spot, and that completes this portion. Okay, so now we've done the Flickr portion. You create your 2 albums, you submit the links to only to the submission here to the Flickr. We don't need to share the body of work. The body of work is for me, not for the rest of the class. All right, next, Wix. So I'm going to jump over to Wix here. And I like to work, when you log into Wix, it's going to take you to this dashboard. I don't like to work in the dashboard. I like to leave the dashboard alone and click the Edit Site button here, which opens up a second tab. You'll notice that this tab is still here. This is my my dashboard, and this is the editor. I prefer to have these 2 tabs open separately. Yeah, I find it a little bit less confusing, because there's a lot happening here that I don't really worry about. I'm mostly worried about my editor. So there's my editor. Now everyone's going to have a different portfolio site, and they all kind of work similarly, but there might be some features that are different. The point is that you need to just navigate through your page navigator here to where you want your work. Now, most of you should have chosen a portfolio style site for this class, so you should have something called portfolio here. If not, you'll need to create it or choose another template. But I'm going to click over to my portfolio. It takes me to my portfolio. It looks like this. By default, there are a bunch of images. I've already added 2 in here, but these are all default images that come with the Wix template. I'm eventually going to delete those, but for now, here's how I would update this. Okay, so the requirement says you need to write a short reflection of your experience with this assignment, and then you also have to select at least one image from your submission to include. So let's do that. I'm going to click on this. Now, whenever you click on anything in Wix, it will give you kind of a context-sensitive menu. If I click on text, it gives me something about text. If I click on a gallery, which is what this is, it gives me settings for the gallery. Okay, if I click on a single image, it'll give me different settings depending on what I'm doing. This is the menu. I can manage my menu. So I want to change these images in this gallery. So I click here. It says Manage Media. I click on Manage Media, and it'll show me all the graphics that I have. If I want to reorganize these, that's as simple as dragging them around and putting them in the order I want. When I hit done, notice I moved this girl from, I think she was 3rd, right? It reorganizes them and moves her down to 5th now. So that's going to manage those things the way you want it to be viewed. I've got this picture of these trees first. If I want the balloon first, I just drag it, I hit done, and it'll update. So now the balloon is first. Fine. If I want to add something new to this, okay, I'm going to click on Add Media. I'm going to go Image, and now I need to put the image that I want into my website. So I'm going to into Wix. So I'm going to upload media. I'm going to go and find the image that I want. Okay. Now it just so happens I've already done one, but I'll grab this one for now. Okay. I open this. It uploads it. It takes a second to go. Once that's done, I say Add to Gallery. It adds it to Gallery. There it is. Give it a second. Oh, it adds it at the bottom, okay, because it's the newest one. It doesn't know that these are going to be deleted, so just keep an eye on that. It may add it to the end. I'm going to put it here at the first point, and I'm going to add some details. So by default, it gives me this title and a blank description, a blank alt text, and no link. So if I hit done and I publish this, when I go to view my site, I'll give it a second to load. I'm going to go here, enter site, and we'll see. Okay, we'll see that it gives me this like image name.jpg, and when I click on it, it gives me the image and the image name. That's a bit messy and unprofessional. We're going to fix that. So let's go back to our editor. I'll close that. I'm going to go back to my manage media, my media settings. Click on this guy, and I'm going to go to the image that I care about. So that's this one here. Notice that if I click on this, these settings change depending on which thing I click on. And here for this red balloon one, I've already added in the red balloon project, a description, an alt text or an alt tag, which I'll show you that in a second, and a link to where I want it to go. So let's do the same thing here for this image. First of all, I don't want the title to be the image name. I want it to be what this thing is. So I'm going to call it Trees and Ice. Okay, that's the name. And if it was a project, I might say project. And then I might put in a description. So I've already written a ridiculous description right here. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it into my description. Okay, and then alt text is when this is for a couple things. It's for SEO, which is search engines and Google to find your work. It's also for text readers to be able to know what is on a screen, and for accessibility for someone who's visually impaired if they need things read to them. So I'm going to just change this to trees and ice image number 1. You don't need to put that much detail in. You can just say trees and ice. You can make it just the project, whatever you want. Okay, just a line there. Finally, and I'm not going to do this link yet, I'll show you that in a second. When I hit done and I publish this, I say done. I'm going to go back here and refresh this page. All right, and now when I mouse over this, it gives me Trees and Ice project. I click on it, it takes me to the page with the image, and it gives me my blurb, okay, my written work. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the link here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my editor. I'm going to go Manage Media. I want to add the link to the Flickr album. So I'm going to go back over to Flickr. I'm going to go back over to my albums, so me, albums. I'm going to grab this by clicking on the link here, copy this thing, Command C, over to here, and I'm going to say add a link. Now this you can't add anything in here. You've actually got to click this button and tell it what kind of link you want. Okay, in this case we want a web address, and I'm going to paste this in there. Do I want it to be a new window, as in open up a new tab or open up a new window, or do I want it to replace what I'm looking at? Okay, I'm going to go new window. That makes the most sense to me. I hit done, and I'm going to change this title. Let me show you what happens if I publish this. Okay, done. I'm going to refresh here. Okay, if I click on this, it gives me this as like the link title is actually the link, which again is fine, but it's a bit messy, right? So I'm going to close that, go back to my editor, go to my Manage Media settings, scroll down, and I'm going to change this title to this is Trees and Ice Flickr page, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, or Flickr, or maybe album. Makes more sense. Oops. Okay, and I hit done. And now when I publish it, you'll see that that's been updated from the link name or the link address to Command R, refresh that. There we go. Okay, now it gives me like a nicer, more professional look. If you had more images on this project, there would be a little arrow here, and you'd click it, and it would show me as a slideshow. Okay, great. Hopefully that makes sense. And now we've completed this portion, the written portion, okay, and the link to the image that you're including, one image, okay, and that completes this part. The last thing we need to do is Brightspace, okay? So we need to submit this work to Brightspace. So it says your Wix website link, okay? Now notice that I don't want something that begins with this editor.wix, okay? This here is not the link that I want, because this, if I click on this, or if you send this link in, I will then be trying to open my own editor. What I want is this page here. Once you've published, okay, you click publish, okay, and it creates a site. I want this. It should start with your username, .wixsite.com/whatever your website is. Okay, I'm going to copy this thing, and I'm going to go over to Brightspace. I'm going to go to my assessments. I'm going to actually view this as a student, so you can see the student view. Okay, I'm going to go assessments, assignments, and I'm going to paste these guys into, if this is the levitation assignment. Okay, I'm going to go, this is the same as this, the Wix website. Okay, so I'm going to go Wix, paste. And I also want the link to your body of work from Flickr. So I'm going to go and grab this guy right here. Okay, copy. And I'm going to say body of work, paste. And then you will also have another album, which I haven't done for this example, but another album, which will be your submission. You're going to copy that one as well. Okay, and I'm going to say submission, paste, and then hit submit, and you're done. Okay, that'll be submitted. I'll be able to see your work, give you a mark. You'll be able to check the rubric, all that kind of stuff. All happens in here. All right, hopefully that all makes sense. And if you have any questions, rewatch the video. Good luck.